Revealed, how a heartwarming gesture turned to heartbreak when I discovered a $3 reality. In a town humming with activity, Sarah often felt like an overlooked note in a bustling symphony. At 35, a single mom and waitress at the local diner, she worked tirelessly to provide for her teenage daughter, Emily. Life was challenging, and their modest two-bedroom apartment was a constant reminder of dreams deferred. But every Saturday morning, they made the trip to the farmer's market. The vibrant stalls ignited their imaginations, filling their hearts with hope and infused their meals with the freshest ingredients. Over bowls of tomato soup or plates of scrambled eggs, they daydream about a cozy home with a yard where Emily could paint a mural or build a treehouse. In a moment of community spirit, Sarah donated a hand-knitted scarf to the local fundraiser honoring hometown heroes. Its delicate yarn, woven together with late-night love, draped like a safety blanket, brimming with warmth. When folks like Mr. Thompson, a war veteran with kind eyes, praised her on stage, Sarah's heart felt light. The local news captured her moment, painting her as a beacon of hope and warmth in a town that often overlooked its unsung heroes. The admiration wrapped around her like that very scarf, and for the first time, she felt proud seen. But just as joy bloomed in her heart, a letter arrived, a bill concerning her late father's medical expenses. It was astronomical, flapping in the wind like a thundercloud ready to rain down chaos on her sunny day. Panic surged through her chest, constricting her breath. Clutching the envelope, she locked away her despair, convinced she was protecting Emily from harsh realities. In an attempt to shield her daughter, she turned distant, her laughter fading. Dinners that were once filled with excited chatter grew heavy with silence, plates growing cold and dreams slipping away. As weeks blurred by, it became a game of avoidance. Sarah withdrew into her worries, her sweet daughter, once a confidant, feeling the sting of separation. Conversations turned into muted exchanges, each one weighted with unsaid fears. Emily, sensing the distance, retreated to her friends, her headphones, her shadowed corners of the internet, leaving Sarah alone to wrestle with her crushing burden. It all escalated until one stormy evening. Rain tapped on the window like a nervous child, and as the air thickened with unresolved feelings, Emily confronted her mother. "Why are you so angry, Mom?" she asked, her voice wavering. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as they laid bare their wounds. Both realized that amidst every struggle, an unbreakable bond remained, a vibrant thread woven between them, colored by every shared meal and whispered dream. Then came the twist. Emily had been holding on to a secret, an idea that could either bridge their rift or shatter their already fragile connection. The kitchen was thick with anticipation as Sarah's heart raced, the thought echoing, could they reclaim their connection amidst the trials, or would the pain of reality suffocate their love? The answer hung in the air, ready to unfurl in ways neither could imagine, leaving behind an aching silence waiting for a word to shatter it. The moment hung heavy in the air, fragile yet charged with potential. Sarah's heart thudded in her chest, the weight of her struggles pressing against her ribs. She looked at Emily, her daughter's earnest face reflecting hope mixed with fear. The silence between them was thick, like a fog refusing to lift. "Mom," Emily spoke again, her voice soft yet steady. "What if we opened a booth at the farmer's market? I could sell my paintings, and you could make those amazing homemade cookies you used to bake." Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "We could use the money to help with everything." Sarah felt her breath hitch. The idea was both breathtaking and terrifying. "Sweetheart, it's a lovely thought, but no, listen," Emily pressed on, her confidence growing. "We've always talked about a dream, right? About a better life, about helping each other. This could be the start. We can create something together." The warmth of Emily's dream started to melt away Sarah's fears, but the practicality of their situation loomed larger. "It's a lot of work, and what if it doesn't work out? What if we fail?" Emily leaned in closer, eyes pleading. "But what if we succeed? We can't let fear stop us anymore, Mom. We have to try." Sarah searched her daughter's face, seeing not just hope but also determination. "I don't want you to get hurt, or disappointed." Emily shook her head, her voice quiet yet firm. I'd rather try and fail than never try at all. We're stronger together, remember? Tears pricked at Sarah's eyes, a mix of pride and fear swelling within her. Emily had grown so much, taking what should have been a mother's burden and morphing it into a shared dream. The thought of failure felt less like a looming shadow and more like a distant possibility. Okay, Sarah finally breathed. Let us do it. Let us start planning. A sudden rush of hope rushed through her, pushing back the despair that had taken up residence in her heart. Together, they brainstormed ideas in the kitchen that night, laughter breaking through the clouds of tension that had settled around them for weeks. The past felt lighter, like the storm outside had cleared a path for a fresh beginning. As days turned into weeks, they poured their energy into preparing for the booth. Sarah rediscovered the joy of baking, filling their apartment with the sweet scent of chocolate chip cookies. Emily painted furiously, her colors bold and bright, reflecting their newfound enthusiasm. An unspoken bond weaved tighter between them, the rift slowly mending with every late-night work session, every shared smile over freshly baked treats. But in the back of Sarah's mind, a lingering fear flickered like a sliver of darkness. What if their efforts were futile? What if another storm loomed on the horizon, ready to crush their dreams before they even took flight? As the market day approached, her excitement wrestled with doubt. Would they really be able to turn their dreams into reality? And would their fragile connection, stitched with love and laughter, hold strong against the trials that might still come? The sun rose on the morning of the market, casting a warm glow over the town. Sarah felt a mix of nervousness and excitement dance in her stomach as she and Emily set up their booth. They laid out cookies and art, breathing in the fresh morning air mixed with the smell of possibilities. Just as everything seemed perfect, a familiar face stepped into view, one that sent a chill through Sarah's spine. Sarah? It was the last person she expected to see. Would this encounter derail everything they had worked for? Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It felt as if the sunlight had dimmed behind an unwelcome cloud. The familiar face stepping closer was, unmistakably, Mark. The man she had tried so hard to forget. The father of her child and a figure buried deep in her past. Hey, it's been a while, he said, his voice unusually soft. Emily's hand tightened around Sarah's. A quick, reassuring squeeze that brought a flicker of strength to Sarah's heart, but doubt quickly settled back in. She hadn't anticipated this. Not today, not at the market, where everything had begun to feel right. What are you doing here? Sarah managed, keeping her tone steady despite the stirring storm inside. I heard about the booth. I wanted to check it out, Mark replied, looking around at their makeshift display. You've done a great job. I'm impressed. Impressed? The word felt surreal coming from him. Sarah's mind raced, parsing through the years of hurt and silence that had stretched between them. Instead of memories weighing her down, she remembered the resilient bond she had been building with Emily. But vulnerability hung in the balance as Mark's eyes flickered to Emily. Hey, Em, he said, his smile faltering slightly. You've grown. Emily stood tall, her expression a blend of defiance and uncertainty. Yeah, I've been busy. His eyes darkened as he turned back to Sarah. You're really doing this? Selling cookies and paintings? It's more than that, she replied, feeling the protective energy surge within her. We're starting fresh. We're working together. Mark looked lost for a moment. That's good. Really? I wish I had known. I'd like to help, if you need it. A flicker of indignation flared in Sarah. Help? Where were you all these years? You just show up now and act like everything is fine? Emily stepped forward, defiant and protective. You don't get to just walk back in, Mark. We've been fine without you. For a moment, silence wrapped around them like a familiar blanket but now tinged with tension. Mark scratched the back of his neck, confusion evident on his face. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to lend a hand. Lend a hand? Sarah echoed, anger catching in her throat. She thought of the nights she spent alone, worrying for Emily's future. What do you know about helping? We've learned to survive without you. Mark's gaze dipped as if the weight of her words had hit hard, revealing vulnerabilities under his bravado. I know I messed up. But Sarah felt a pang of sympathy. His regret was palpable, yet it was intertwined with all the bitterness that had built up over the years. She wanted to be open to forgiveness, yet her heart thudded harshly in her chest, guarding the newfound peace she de-established with Emily. The world around them faded for a moment, leaving just the three of them in a suspended reality of tension. Why didn't you reach out? Emily's voice pierced the silence, raw with a mix of anger and hurt. As the weight of that question hung in the air, Sarah noticed a small group of market visitors pausing nearby, curious to see their confrontation unfold. A distance gathered in the looks of some, while others wore expressions of sympathy. Mark opened his mouth, as if to answer, but nothing came out. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from a few stalls down, snapping everyone's attention away. An artist's display toppled, colors scattering like fallen leaves. Sarah turned instinctively, her focus unraveling. Mom! Emily's voice broke her away from the moment. Mark's eyes followed her gaze, realization slicing through the tension. We should go help them. Sarah hesitated, battling but ultimately succumbing to the urgency in Emily's tone. As they moved, she felt a torrent of questions swirl through her mind. Did he really want to be part of their lives again? Or was this all just a momentary lapse? The prospect of returning to their fragile normalcy loomed, but now, uncertainty clung like burrs to her thoughts. What would it mean to let Mark back in? As they reached the display, the next moment unfolded an unexpected yet fateful choice stood before them. Could Sarah truly redefine their family, or would the scars of the past hold them captive, even in their hopeful present? As they reached the chaotic scene, the smell of freshly spilled paint and the sight of crumbled canvases suddenly filled Sarah's senses. The artist, a middle-aged man with glasses perched on his nose, stood amidst the wreckage, eyes wide in disbelief. His hands trembled as he gathered the shards of his creativity, scattering vibrant colors that once painted his world. Let me help, Sarah said before she even realized she spoke. She knelt beside the man, feeling the familiar sting of empathy for someone caught in a moment of disaster. Mark moved instinctively to help too. What can we do? He asked the artist, his earlier tension rapidly melting into a surprisingly warm concern. Emily hung back, arms crossed, eyes darting between them. A maelstrom of emotions washed over her. She admired her mom's readiness to lend a hand, yet the image of Mark's return loomed large in her mind. Could they really align as a temporary team? Just please be careful, the artist stammered, his voice quivering. These were my best pieces. Together, they began tidying up, but the situation felt surreal. As they collected the scattered paintings, Sarah caught glimpses of Mark through her peripheral vision. He was surprisingly gentle, lifting the canvas closest to him as if it were fragile glass. Something about the way he worked with intention sparked a lingering hope in Sarah, a faint glimmer of the man she had once loved. Do you have a backup plan? Mark asked the artist. Can you recreate these? His words were genuine, revealing a side Sarah rarely saw. A part of Mark that wanted to help others, to mend the broken. The artist nodded, albeit reluctantly. I'll make new pieces. But it'll take time, and there isn't much left in this show. He gestured helplessly to the mess around them. Then let us make this right, Mark proposed, a sense of urgency resonating in his voice. We'll get the word out. Social media, flyers, anything we can do to draw crowds back to your booth. As they worked, Sarah felt a swell of gratitude for Mark's sudden enthusiasm, though a darker part of her, fueled by years of pain and loss, urged her to remain cautious. But alongside those mixed feelings, another part whispered hope. Emily watched, her brow furrowed but not as defensive as before. Maybe sharing his art is a good idea, she offered quietly, testing the waters of forgiveness she wasn't quite comfortable with yet. Yeah, and we can add a donation box for any new piece sold to help fund his next show, Sarah suggested, her heart racing. She sensed that each little detail was a step towards building a bridge, even if a part of her resisted the idea. So we do this together? Mark glanced at her, a hopeful flash in his eyes. Us three? Emily hesitated but then nodded slowly. Okay, but this doesn't mean you're back. Not yet. The air buzzed with possibility as they continued to pick through the wreckage, laughter soon bubbling up through the strain. For a fleeting moment, it felt as if the weight of the past began to lift, leaving space for a bit of light. They were a team, however fragile, united against a common foe, adversity. But even as the camaraderie blossomed, the shadows of doubt returned, creeping back into Sarah's mind. She was suddenly aware of how quickly circumstances could change. Just when things seemed to align, uncertainties began to sprout, like weeds pushing through soft earth. They finished up, the artist grateful yet still vulnerable. After the last canvas was set aside, he gave them a nod of appreciation. You guys saved me. Thank you. Sarah smiled, but a weight pressed on her chest. Did today signify a starting point, or would it unravel? As they walked away from the booth, the remnants of colors dotting the pavement, Sarah looked at Mark. There was a shift, a possibility she hadn't anticipated, but the thought of him disrupting their balance loomed ominously. Is this really a chance to fix things? She wondered, not for the first time. Emily turned to her, her brow furrowing with thought. Mom, can we trust him? That question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty, demanding an answer that Sarah wasn't ready to give. The cycle of trust and betrayal swirled around them again, leading Sarah to confront the truth. How do you let someone who broke your heart back in without losing yourself once more? The market buzzed around them, alive with laughter and chatter, but their world felt suspended, a moment frozen in time. Could they really redefine family, or would the cracks show all over again, leaving them to navigate a minefield of past wounds? The answer hung just out of reach as they moved forward, searching for a new horizon. The next few days felt like a whirlwind. Despite the lingering doubts, a plan began to form. Sarah, Emily, and Mark delved into organizing the artist's comeback. They created a social media buzz, sharing photos and heartfelt stories about the artist and his work. Messages poured in, some excited to see his creations, others wanting to contribute. Each share, each retweet felt like a small victory. Sarah could feel the heaviness in her heart start to lift. It was as though the energy of the project was washing away the fears that had held her captive for so long. This could be good for us, she thought, glancing at Emily, who embraced the sudden activity with unexpected enthusiasm. Look! Emily exclaimed one afternoon, her phone shining brightly with new notifications. They had shared the artist's plight, and the community had responded. People want to come. They want to support him. Sarah felt a smile creeping across her face, amazed by the positive impact they could make together. Even Mark, who had seemed distant in their earlier discussions, began to engage more. He was brainstorming ideas to decorate the booth, suggesting fun activities to draw in the crowd. I was thinking, what if we have live painting? It could generate excitement, he suggested, a twinkle in his eye. Sarah felt her heart race at the sight of him animated, though caution still held a firm grip on her instincts. Sure, but let us not get ahead of ourselves, she replied, unsure of how far she was willing to let this go. The idea of sharing a skyrocketing moment of happiness clashed sharply with the comforting armor built over years of heartache. As they painted flyers and prepared for the event, gloomy clouds gathered outside, casting a shadow over their process. The weather reflected Sarah's internal struggle. How could she trust someone who had hurt her so deeply? However, hope and excitement surged through the air as their hard work began to bear fruit. The artist had caught wind of their efforts and seemed reinvigorated with each passing day, exchanging laughter and gratitude. Yet, the moment Mark slipped back into his old ways, a casual joke that stung or a dismissive glance when Sarah disagreed, she felt like the ground beneath her shifted. On the day of the event, the booth burst with color. The artist's new paintings, bold and fresh, hung proudly, surrounded by laughter and chatter from the small crowd that had formed. Sarah marveled at how the community showed up. This is incredible, she breathed, overwhelmed with emotion. Mom, look. Emily pointed out, annoyance etched across her face. Mark had leaned a little too close to a woman at the booth, laughing in a way that felt painfully familiar. I can't believe he would do that. You're overreacting, Sarah replied, but the doubt gnawed at her. As the afternoon rolled on, the excitement was palpable, but Sarah wrestled with an unsettling feeling in her gut. She excused herself for a moment, needing space to breathe. Outside, a light drizzle began, softening the chaos of the event. She stood against the backdrop of the market, the vibrant colors of painted visions pulling at her heart. Was it really a good idea to allow Mark further into her life, especially for the sake of their daughter? Just then, a chill breeze rustled through the trees, and a strange sense of urgency sparked in her chest. What if this was just a fleeting moment of happiness? The thought jolted her. Could she risk everything for a chance at reconciliation when everything felt so precarious? Returning inside, Sarah took a deep breath. The laughter enveloped her. But just as she stepped back into the chaos, she heard it. I can't believe how great this turned out, right? Mark was speaking. Her heart twisted. The woman was beside him again, her laughter bubbling up like music, and Mark's smile, his real smile that had once made her feel so seen, was aimed right at her. In that instant, an internal alarm blared. Would this moment unravel everything? As uncertainty washed over Sarah, she realized, the biggest question remained, in a situation so fragile, with the promise of healing around the corner, how much was she willing to risk when heartbreak lingered just beneath the surface? Sarah stepped back, her breath catching in her throat. She watched Mark's animated exchange with the woman, his enthusiasm lighting up his face in a way that felt both familiar and alien. The vibrant chaos of the market seemed to fade as all she could hear was the laughter between them, like sharp needles poking at the walls she had built around her heart. Mom, are you okay? Emily's voice cut through the haze. Sarah turned to see concern etched on her daughter's face. It hit her how Emily had been so excited about this event, how much she wanted their family to feel whole again, to relive moments of warmth and connection. Realizing she was clenching her fists, Sarah took a deep breath and forced a smile. Yeah, honey, I'm fine. Just lost in thought. But inside, doubt twisted like a knot in her stomach. She felt a wave of guilt crash over her. Did she have the right to feel threatened when they were just trying to share a moment of joy? As she moved back towards the booth, she had no choice but to put on a brave face. The laughter and chatter returned to her ears like a comforting blanket, but the warmth she had felt moments before was fraying. Hey, guys! She called, putting an extra bounce in her voice. Look at this amazing turnout. She plastered on her best smile, even though it felt like a mask. The artist noticed the shift in her energy, pausing mid-conversation with a genuine smile that seemed to lighten her load, if only for a moment. Isn't it incredible? He exclaimed, gesturing toward the crowd. I've never felt more alive. Thank you for making this happen. His gratitude wrapped around her like sunlight, but just as quickly as it arrived, it flickered back into uncertainty. Mark wrapped his arm around Sarah's waist, pulling her closer. An innocent gesture, but it sent shivers down her spine. The warmth of his hold felt like an old song that stirred a distant memory, yet the reassurance was undercut by the image of laughter shared with that woman. Just then, Emily tugged on Sarah's sleeve, her eyes wide. Look at that painting, Mom. I want to show you. Of course, sweetie. Sarah replied, eager to shift her focus. They meandered through the crowd. The colors danced in front of them, each painting a story of perseverance, love, and community. It felt good. It felt right. But amidst the bright canvases, Sarah couldn't shake the darkness that clung to her heart. She craved answers, clarity, a sense of safety. What am I really doing here? She questioned silently, but the words hung heavy in her mind. As they approached a striking piece, an explosion of color that showcased resilience in its rawest form, her thoughts turned back to Mark. What if her fears were validated? What if he was incapable of change, slipping back into the shadows of who he used to be? People around them chatted and admired the artwork, but all Sarah could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Suddenly, the sound of a phone notification pulled her from her reverie. She glanced at Emily, who had just received a message. "Mom, it's from one of my friends. They want to know more about the event." "What does it say?" Sarah leaned closer. Emily's face dropped, her eyes widening. It's about Mark." The blood drained from Sarah's face as her mind raced. "What now?" Before Emily could respond, Mark's cheerful voice rang out again. He was waving to another group, and in that moment, Sarah knew. Deep down, she had to find out the truth, or risk letting her heart fall again. Taking a deep breath, uncertainty masked by strength, she turned back to Emily. "We need to investigate, right now," she whispered, clenching her jaw. As the laughter around her faded, a different kind of urgency took hold. How could they uncover the reality behind the facade when it felt so precariously balanced? With the stakes higher than ever, a new test awaited them. Would their journey risk everything they had built if she discovered something that could break her heart all over again? Emily's fingers danced nervously on her phone screen as she read the message again. "Mom," it says. She hesitated, peering at Sarah with wide, frightened eyes. "It says Mark was seen with someone last week. At a different event." In that moment, a chill washed over Sarah, coating her heart in icy fear. What kind of event? Her voice came out steadier than she felt inside. Emily shrugged, her brows knitted in confusion. "A charity dinner. I think." "What else?" Sarah's mind raced, her stomach twisted into knots. The images of Mark laughing and talking so freely just moments ago pushed against her chest, threatening to expand into a tidal wave of doubt. The street in front of them blurred as Sarah struggled to maintain focus. The market bustled with life, people chatting, kids giggling, vibrant colors all around. But in her gut was a storm brewing, dark and heavy. "I don't know," Emily said, a bit louder now, feeling the shift of tension in the air. "It just worries me. What if he's not being honest with us?" "Let's just take a breath," Sarah said, forcing calm into her voice. She wasn't prepared for a confrontation, but the thrill of revealing the truth held a kind of allure she couldn't ignore. "We'll figure this out, okay?" With a quick nod, they settled into a shared silence. Emily's gaze shifted from her phone to the crowd, searching for familiar faces against the backdrop of vibrant art and laughter. "Look, there's the woman he was talking with," Emily exclaimed, pointing. The woman stood near the nearby booth, her laughter mingling with the crowd. Her hair was a wild flurry of curls, her eyes sparkling with an energy that felt unnervingly magnetic. "Let us approach her," Sarah suggested, her heart hammering like a war drum in her chest. "Are you sure?" "Yes," Sarah replied, steeling herself. "We need to know." They moved cautiously through the throng, the air thick with the scent of fresh paint, sweet artisan treats, and the ebb of conversations buzzing around. When they reached the woman, Sarah recognized her from photos Mark had shown her a while ago. "Hi there." "Excuse me," she said, trying to maintain a friendly tone despite the storm in her heart. "Do you mind if I ask you something?" The woman turned, her expression shifting from surprise to a warm smile. "Of course. How can I help?" "Mark," Sarah started, the name feeling heavy on her tongue. "How do you know him?" The smile faded a notch, and the woman glanced at Emily before answering. "We met at a fundraiser last week. He's a thoughtful guy, really passionate about the cause." Sarah swallowed hard, searching the woman's face for signs of a deeper connection. "Right, I heard about that. It was a wonderful event." "Yes. An incredible gathering of people who want to make a difference." The woman's eyes sparkled again, as if privy to a secret Sarah wished to share. But doubt crept back in. "He was very supportive. A good friend." "A good friend." The phrase struck Sarah like a blow. What exactly did that mean? "Did he say anything about our family?" Emily piped up, her voice shaky. The woman's brow furrowed slightly. I'm not sure what you're looking for, but he mentioned wanting to make things work. Sarah's heart sank. Make things work? Emily shifted beside her, sensing the storm building. That's what I remember, the woman said, a little uncertain now. He seemed genuine. Feeling as if the ground was crumbling beneath her, Sarah smiled but knew it was cracking. Thank you for your honesty. They stepped back, and as the woman turned to greet a friend, Sarah looked at Emily, fear and confusion warring in her eyes. We need to talk to Mark, discover more. And what if he says it was nothing? Emily replied, fear flickering across her face. What if this breaks us? Tension wrapped around them, tightening like a noose. Sarah breathed in deep, soothing her racing heart. We must know the truth, honey. Otherwise, we'll be lost in lies trying to find light. As they regrouped toward the booth where Mark was mingling, their determination grounded them like roots sinking deep into the soil. But in the back of Sarah's mind, a different question loomed. What if learning the truth is what shatters everything they've tried to rebuild? Uncertainty mingled with resolve as they drew near. The moment of confrontation loomed ahead, perched on the precipice of change. Would they emerge whole or broken? As they approached Mark, laughter echoed around them like a cruel reminder of the joy they had once shared. He stood in a circle of friends, his smile bright and engaging, but to Sarah, the light in his eyes felt distant. She wanted to believe it was all just a misunderstanding, that perhaps he had simply misread the connection this woman in front of them had sparked. Mark. Sarah's voice broke through the laughter, sounding stronger than she felt. He turned, his expression shifting from delight to a flash of surprise that was quickly replaced by a casual grin. Hey! Didn't he expect to see you two here? The crowd faded, and for that one heartbeat, it was just Mark and them. Can we talk? Sarah asked, her tone firm yet laced with vulnerability. Sure. What's up? He replied, his interest genuine, but a hint of confusion knitted his brow as he exchanged glances with Emily. It's about the charity dinner. We really need to chat about that woman. Emily shifted nervously beside her, and Sarah could feel the weight of her daughter's uncertainty. The humidity of the day pressed against her like the heaviness in her heart. Who, Jenna? She's really cool. We met through a mutual friend, Mark said, brushing off the tension lacing Sarah's words. That's not what we meant, Emily chimed in, her voice quaking slightly. She said you told her you wanted to make things work. Make what work? Mark's expression faltered. I didn't mean it like that, he started, his face tightening. We just talked about what a great evening it was, nothing more. But they could see how his words didn't align with the anxiety creeping into his eyes. Sarah bit the inside of her cheek, biting back the wave of hurt surging through her. But you didn't tell us about this dinner, or about her. Why is that? Mark hesitated, like a deer caught in headlights. I didn't think it mattered. It was just a dinner with friends. Just friends? Sarah pressed, heart racing. You don't see how this looks? You didn't tell us anything and now we're hearing you were seen all night together. How am I supposed to believe that's just a friendship? Mom, Emily whispered, her voice full of worry for both of them. Mark ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Sarah had come to recognize as a sign of stress. I swear, we didn't do anything inappropriate. It was a charity event, everyone was talking and having fun. Fun? The word felt sharp, bitter on Sarah's tongue. What does that mean? Were you thinking of us while you were there? Of course. I love you both. He replied, desperation creeping into his voice. I was trying to be better, to be more involved, just being a good dad and husband. I didn't want to let you down. Tears blurred Sarah's vision. She wanted to believe him, wanted to grasp onto that thread of hope he offered, but the seeds of doubt were already planted. Sometimes, your heart sees through what your eyes don't. Then why didn't you tell us? Why hide it? She demanded. I thought I could handle it on my own, he admitted, voice low. I didn't want you to worry. I didn't think I had to explain every little detail. Emily stepped closer, taking Sarah's hand in hers, a gesture of silent support amid the chaos. But this isn't little, Dad. You didn't even mention this woman. That doesn't feel right. You said you were working on things. Mark's shoulders dropped, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on him. A flicker of panic dashed across his expression. I thought I was doing better. Silent tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks, warmth contrasting the chill gripping her heart. The laughter of the crowd around them felt like an insurmountable distance away, slipping through her like grains of sand. I don't know what to think, Sarah whispered, barely masking the shiver in her voice. With a soft nod, Emily squeezed her hand tighter. The confrontation was stirring something deeper, the truth twisting like a vine between them. Mark opened his mouth, words hanging in the air, but faltered again as his gaze shifted uneasily. I promise I'll make it up to you both. I want us to figure this out. Would it be enough? Would words alone mend the fractures forming around them? Sarah's heart thudded, hope and uncertainty clashing violently within. What if we can't? She finally said, broken yet resolute, the question a solemn vow hanging between them. As the crowd continued to laugh and enjoy their day, the three stood at the crossroads of everything they had fought for and everything that might still slip through their fingers. Would they find the path towards healing, or was this the moment where everything crumbled beneath years of effort? Mom, we have to decide together. Emily's voice trailed off, and in that space, hope flickered dimly against the growing storm. The next steps toward clarity were murky at best. What would it take to break the cycle of doubt? Emily felt the tension ripple through the air, thick enough to choke on. She glanced at Sarah, then back at Mark, unsure of how to navigate the turmoil swirling around them. Did they still have enough love left to withstand this storm? The question gnawed at her, an uninvited guest in her heart. Let us just sit somewhere quieter, Emily suggested, desperation lacing her voice. The laughter of Mark's friends echoed mockingly as they turned away from the scene unfolding. Sarah nodded, her gaze locked on Mark, a mixture of hope and fear etched on her face. As they moved away from the crowd, Mark fell into step beside Sarah, his eyes pleading for understanding. I never meant to hurt either of you. It was just I thought it was an innocent outing. Innocent. The word struck Emily like an arrow. But it wasn't innocent enough to tell us about, was it? She shot back, her voice rising slightly. The hurt in her chest was sharp, too raw to ignore. They found a small patch of grass, shaded by a nearby oak. Emily sank down, pulling her knees close, the familiar act offering a small semblance of comfort. Sarah hesitated before sitting beside her, her posture stiff with tension. Mark, I want to believe you, Sarah began, her voice trembling. But it feels like you're hiding things. You say you love us, but then why were you so quick to dismiss the dinner as no big deal? Mark's expression darkened, the corners of his mouth pulling down. I didn't want to hurt you, Sar. Things have been so tense, then why not just be honest? Emily interjected, her frustration boiling over. Trust is all we have, Dad. If you really want to fix things, you have to stop keeping secrets. Silence stretched between them, heavy and uncomfortable. Mark looked down, shame clouding his features. I just thought I could handle this on my own. I wanted to keep the peace. Keeping the peace? Sarah echoed incredulously. You call this peace? A small sigh escaped Mark's lips as he raked his fingers through his hair again, a sign of the internal struggle he was battling. I'm scared. Scared that you'll decide that this is too much. Scared that you'll walk away. And there it was. The heart of it all. The fear that had lingered in their home like a shadow, the uncertainty of whether love could truly survive this tripwire moment. Emily felt her body twist with the weight of his words. Do you even see us anymore? Emily whispered, looking up at him with raw eyes. Or are we just a safety net for your happiness? He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. And in that silence loomed an even greater truth. Whatever happens, Sarah finally said, her voice a calm ember, we're still family. We need to work through this. Together. Mark looked at them, his heart visibly heavy, doubt clinging to his every breath. How could he make it right? I want to make it better. I'll try, he said, words tumbling out like a waterfall. Just tell me what to do. Emily exchanged glances with her mother, their silent communication deepening the bond of support. You have to be honest. About everything. No more hiding or pretending, Emily replied firmly. We can't fix what we don't understand. A flicker of determination sparked in Mark's gaze. I promise, he said, voice trembling slightly. I'll tell you everything. No more secrets. But just as hope began to rise, another thought invaded Sarah's mind. Would the truth be too much to bear? Mark, wait. Sarah hesitated, her heart beating wildly. What if some truths are too painful? What if we lose everything? Emily reached for her mother's hand, grounding her in the moment. The afternoon sun seemed to dim, casting a shadow over them that felt both ominous and heavy. And in that moment, doubt and hope wrestled for the upper hand, leaving Sarah's heart aching with the precariousness of it all. What secrets would they uncover? Would the pieces of their family fit back together? The questions loomed large, like clouds ready to burst. As Mark looked between the two of them, uncertainty flickering in his eyes, everyone held their breath, waiting for the storm to break. As the tension in the air felt electric, Sarah's heart raced. She understood the importance of this moment, the delicate balance they stood upon, but the weight of the unknown pressed heavily upon her shoulders. Would they unravel in the pursuit of honesty? What truths could potentially shatter their fragile bond? Mark stood there, shadows crossing his features, ready to unveil secrets that had marred their family for too long. I knew I had to change, he began, glancing at Emily, who watched him with guarded hope. But every time I thought of reaching out, fear crept back in. I thought it was easier to pretend everything was okay. Pretending doesn't help, Sarah interjected, her voice steady yet laced with worry. It only pushes us further apart. If we're going to rebuild, we need to face what's broken together. Mark nodded, the burden of his past weighing visibly on him. Last week, at the charity dinner, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to stir up old wounds. Jenna and I only talked about art, about community stuff. But I could see how quickly that connection sparked something real. I was scared, Sar. Scared of losing you both, but even more scared of what I'd find out about myself if I let you in. Emily's eyes shimmered with empathy for her father, but a sense of betrayal clenched her heart. I get it, we all fall short sometimes, but when you didn't tell us, it hurt worse than anything. Mark's eyes filled with regret as he reached for Emily's hand. I'm sorry. I truly want to prove to you that I'm willing to fight for us, maybe even go to counseling so I can figure out why I shut down. I want you both to have the dad you deserve. I'm just not sure how to get there yet. Sarah felt a rush of warmth mixed with uncertainty. That's a start, Mark. But we need to hear the truth, everything. Only then can we take the right steps forward. Mark took a deep breath and nodded firmly. I'm ready to try. I can't lose you both again. His vulnerability echoed through the small glade, an unspoken promise hanging thick between them. With the crowd buzzing around them, their family felt small but stronger than before. It wasn't easy. Each admission, each tear shed, felt like peeling back layers of a fragile onion, revealing the raw truth at its core. Mark shared it all, how hesitations had stemmed from yearns of unworthiness and his journey spiraling into a place of emotional withdrawal. As he spoke, Sarah caught glimpses of the man she fell in love with, buried underneath past mistakes and regrets. Every word, paving a path to healing, banished some of the tension that had snaked between them for years, exposing the light beneath. Emily, sitting beside her mother, felt the theft of anguish slowly dissolve. She grabbed Sarah's hand tightly, anchoring her in the moment. Can we promise not to keep things from each other anymore? She asked, her voice small yet resolute. Mark gave a tentative smile, the weight on his shoulders easing just a bit. Absolutely. We'll be a family again, I'll make sure of it. A warmth blossomed in Sarah's chest as hope whispered sweetly in her ear. Perhaps the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they had begun taking the crucial steps towards rediscovery and healing together. With the sun setting overhead, casting a soft glow around them, she could see the glow of new beginnings flicker softly between them, perhaps even among the vibrant art displayed back at the booth. "Let us write a new chapter," she said, her voice steady with determination, "one where we share and grow together, no matter how hard it gets." The promise of transforming their family formed a budding sense of unity, a color palette of love, support, and forgiveness waiting to take shape in the tapestry of their lives. As they walked back to join the market buzz, a renewed synergy pulsed through Sarah's heart. She felt lighter, more at ease, even as challenges loomed over them. They were standing together, emblematic of a strong family willing to fight through the storms to reach the sunshine on the other side. And deep down, she resolved that regardless of what lay ahead, love and understanding could flourish, igniting a flame that no troubled past could extinguish. "All right," Emily chirped, eyes glimmering with excitement, "let us show everyone what a strong family can do." The trio stepped into the laughter and light of the market, ready to embrace whatever came next. And with that, each carried their own embers of hope, promising to nurture the fire of their bond, together as a united front. Now, this is the moment to make your voice heard. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you never miss exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep our community thriving. Comment below your genuine reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand how crucial your support is for our journey together.